My finger hovered over the upload button. The file was named Kingston_prom_truth.mp4. This single click would dismantle the perfect lives of the 3 people who tried to destroy mine. My heart was hammering, not with fear, but with finality. The evidence I'd gathered over the last 4 months proved everything. It proved that the humiliation wasn't random. It was calculated, and it proved they underestimated me badly. Someone once asked me, "How does it feel to be the girl everyone laughs at?" I looked at the screen, at the paused video of Tiffany Vance admitting everything, and I finally had my answer. "It feels," I whispered to the empty room, "like power. It's funny how life works, isn't it? People think they can break you, humiliate you in front of everyone, and just walk away. They forget that karma takes notes. It remembers. And sometimes, it just needs a little help delivering the message. How are you all doing today? I hope you're somewhere comfortable, maybe with a good cup of tea. Wherever you're watching from, I hope the weather is better than the storm I'm about to unleash. My name is Amara Campbell, and this is the story of how I went from being the putwa joke of Kingston High senior prom, the girl covered in fake pig's blood, to the person holding the keys to the entire town's biggest secret. That girl you see on the screen right now? That's me. Not in a torn dress, crying in a bathroom. No. That's me standing on the stage at the National Debate Finals, holding the very trophy Tiffany's scholarship depended on. This story is a lot. It's about betrayal, it's about cruelty, but mostly, it's about finding that strength you never knew you had. If you're ready for this journey, do me a favor. Hit that like button, and definitely subscribe, because you won't want to miss how this ends. Trust me. But, to understand why my finger is on this button, you have to understand the girl I was just 6 months ago. You have to start from the beginning. I wasn't new to the country, but I was new to this world. We moved from Portmore, Jamaica, to this wealthy, sterile suburb in Connecticut when I was 16. My father got a big engineering contract. For 2 years, I kept my head down. I was just the quiet Jamaican girl. The one with the accent they either ignored or badly imitated. I was 18. Senior year. All I wanted was to graduate with honors, get my scholarship to Howard, and leave Kingston High behind. I believed in working hard. I believed that if you were kind, people would eventually be kind back. I believed that high school drama was just something in movies, something that didn't happen to real people, not to people who minded their own business. And I believed Tiffany Vance was my friend. That was my biggest mistake. Tiffany was Kingston High royalty. Her father practically owned the town. She was the one who took me under her wing when I first arrived. She taught me how to tone down my accent. She'd say, "Amara, honey, no one will take you seriously if you sound that Jamaican. You need to sound American." I thought she was helping me. I thought she was being nice, teaching me the ropes. My flaw. I wanted to fit in. Desperately. I was so tired of being the outsider, the island girl they whispered about. I let her mold me, sand down my edges, all because I wanted one night, just one, to feel normal. To feel included. The first clue was small. It was when her boyfriend, Chad, kept joking about prom. He'd ask me weird questions. "You ever seen that movie, Carrie, Amara?" I'd laugh and say no. "You should," he'd grin, sharing a look with Tiffany. "It's a classic." I just thought it was a weird movie recommendation. I didn't realize it was a blueprint. I see it now, of course. You probably see it, too. You're screaming at the screen. "Amara, wake up." But I didn't. When Tiffany offered to take me dress shopping, I cried with gratitude. When she said she and her group had a special surprise for me at prom, a way to officially welcome me, I actually believed her. The prom was everything. It wasn't just a dance. The prom king and queen announcement was tied to the prestigious Kingston Legacy Scholarship, a full ride to any Ivy League, funded by Tiffany's family. My only real competition for valedictorian, and that scholarship was Tiffany herself. I needed that night to go perfectly. I needed to win that scholarship. My family's finances were rocky. My father's contract was unstable. This scholarship wasn't just a prize, it was my only way out. The prom was in 2 weeks. I practiced my valedictorian speech, the one I'd give if I won the scholarship. I bought a dress, a beautiful yellow one that reminded me of the sunshine back home. Tiffany even helped me pick it. She smiled, holding it up. "Oh, Amara," she said, her voice dripping with sincerity. "This is perfect. It's going to make the red just pop." I thought she meant the red corsage she was buying me. I had no idea she was talking about the blood. To understand the girl in that yellow dress, you have to understand the girl I was before. Back in Portmore, I wasn't quiet. I was loud. In a good way. I was the captain of the debate team, the one who'd argue with the fruit vendor just for the sport of it, the one my friends came to for advice. My voice was strong, my patois was thick, and I never, ever backed down. When I walked, I didn't hunch my shoulders. I was Amara Campbell, and I was proud. Then, Connecticut. This place was all polished wood floors and hushed voices. The first time I answered a question in class, in my normal voice, the entire room went silent. A boy in the back, one of Chad's friends, snorted and said, "What language is that?" I felt my face burn, and from that day I started to shrink. I filed down my accent. I spoke less. I stopped making eye contact. I traded my bright colors for their beige and gray. I became a ghost of myself, just trying to get by. Tiffany Vance was the first person who saw me, or so I thought. She came up to me in the library, where I was hiding during lunch. "That was brutal, what they did in class," she said, sliding into the seat opposite me. "They're just ignorant. You're really smart. I read your paper on the Great Gatsby." And just like that, I was hooked. She was a lifeline. She started inviting me to study sessions. She'd correct my essays. "It's as if, Amara, not like," she'd say gently. "It just sounds more educated." I lapped it up. She gave me a gray sweater. "It suits you," she said. I wore it until it was thin. Her group was, well, they were her group. Chad, her boyfriend, was the classic golden boy. All-American quarterback, chiseled jaw, and eyes as empty as a clear sky. He always had this smirk, like he was in on a joke the rest of us hadn't heard. And then there was Becca. Becca was the nervous one, the follower. She'd look at me, then quickly look away, as if she was afraid to be caught staring. The friendship became my focus. I thought if Tiffany liked me, the others would have to respect me. I was wrong. They didn't see a friend. They saw a project. Or a pet. One afternoon, about a month before prom, Tiffany invited me to her house. It wasn't a house, it was a mansion. We were in her room, which was bigger than our entire apartment, and she was helping me with my scholarship application. "You really need this, don't you?" she asked, not unkindly, looking over my parents' financial statements. I nodded, feeling that familiar shame. "My dad's contract, it's not stable. If I don't get the scholarship, Howard is, it's not an option." She smiled, that perfect, bright white smile. "Don't you worry, Amara. You're brilliant. You deserve it. I mean, I'm applying too, but my dad's funding it, so it's really just for the honor of it. I'll even put in a good word for you with the committee. They always listen to me." She was giving me hope. She was building this beautiful, shimmering bubble, and I was floating inside it, completely blind to the needle she was holding. While I was looking at her bookshelf, thanking her, I saw her phone light up on the bed. A text from Chad. I only saw a few words. "Is the little island goat still there?" My blood ran cold. Before I could process it, Tiffany snatched the phone. "Ugh, Chad. He's such a child." She laughed it off, so easily, so smoothly. "He's just jealous I'm spending time with you instead of him. Don't listen to him. He's an idiot, but he's my idiot." She convinced me. I wanted to be convinced. I wanted her to be my friend more than I wanted to believe what I'd just seen. That's how desperate I was. The stakes at home were getting higher. My parents were fighting almost every night. The whispers of going back to Jamaica were getting louder. My father would sit me down, his hands rough from work, his eyes tired. "Amara, me pickney, this place is hard. But you have the brains to beat it. This scholarship, it is our only way. Do you understand? You make us proud, eh? You win that, and it doesn't matter what happens with my job. You will be safe." The pressure was immense. It was a physical weight. I poured all of it into my schoolwork and all my hope into Tiffany. A week before prom, the plan was set. Tiffany had pulled strings to make sure I was on the prom court. "It's your time to shine, Amara," she said, clapping her hands. "I'm so excited for you." And then she laid the final trap. "So, you know the big surprise I told you about," she said, her eyes wide with fake excitement. I nodded. Okay, so, it's a Kingston tradition. It's silly, but it's sweet. When they announce the prom court, right before they announce the king and queen, they do a special honor for someone who truly embodies the Kingston spirit. And this year, it's you. My heart stopped. Me? Why? Because you've come so far. You've worked so hard. I want to show everyone that you're one of us now. For real. She must have seen the doubt in my eyes, that old Portmore skepticism. Look, Amara, she said, dropping the bubbly act and grabbing my hand. I know Chad's a jerk sometimes, and the others are snobs. But I see you. I want them to see you, too. So, when they call your name for the Kingston honor, just walk right up to the center of the stage. Don't be shy. Just accept it. Trust me. Okay, I whispered. I trust you. That was the last piece. My vulnerability, my parents' pressure, my desperation to belong, and the stage, set for my grand welcome. The night before prom, I went to Tiffany's house to pick up my corsage. I gave her a small gift, a little carved wooden doctor bird, the national bird of Jamaica. Thank you, I said, my voice thick with emotion. For everything. I'm so glad I have a friend like you. She took the bird, her smile perfect, but her eyes were cold. I see that now. Of course, Amara. I've got your back. She pulled me into a hug, and I felt her text her phone over my shoulder. Prom is going to be a night you will never forget. I walked home in the dark, clutching my yellow dress in its plastic bag, feeling like, for the first time, I was finally going to be seen. I had no idea I was right. Prom night. It felt electric. I spent 2 hours on my hair, trying to get my curls to lay perfectly. My mother, who usually just looked worried, had tears in her eyes when I zipped up the yellow dress. Oh, me baby, she whispered, her hands cupping my face. You look like a queen already. A real Jamaican queen. My father just nodded, his chest puffed out with pride. That is my Amara. You go and you get that scholarship. You show them what a Campbell is made of. Their pride was an armor. I felt invincible. The limousine pulled up, another one of Tiffany's little gifts. I was sharing it with her, Chad and Becca. When I walked out, Chad actually whistled. Damn, Amara. Cleaning up nice. Tiffany gushed. I told you that color was amazing. Becca just stared at my dress, her expression unreadable. It's really yellow, she said. The drive was loud. They were all laughing, taking pictures, but I felt the strange little coil of anxiety in my stomach. I dismissed it as nerves. This was prom, after all. When we walked into the gymnasium, it was overwhelming. It was decorated like a Midsummer Night's Dream, all fake trees and twinkling lights. And everyone was staring at me. I'd gotten used to being invisible, but this was different. People were whispering, pointing. I saw a few phones aimed my way. I straightened my back, remembering my mother's words. A Jamaican queen. I thought they were admiring the dress. I thought they were finally seeing me. Tiffany grabbed my hand. It's almost time, she whispered, her voice high-pitched. Remember, when they call the Kingston honor, that's you. Walk straight to the center X. Just soak it all in. You deserve this. She squeezed my hand, her palm cold and clammy, and then Chad, and Becca went up to the stage with the rest of the prom court. I stood by the punch bowl, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. I was texting my parents. It's beautiful. I'm so nervous. The lights dimmed. The principal, Mr. Davies, went to the podium. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Your 2023 prom king and queen. He announced Chad as king. No surprise. The crowd went wild. And your prom queen. A dramatic pause. Miss Tiffany Vance. Of course. She accepted the crown, all fake tears and humility. She blew a kiss to the crowd. Then, she leaned in and whispered something to Chad, who was now at the podium. Chad grinned, his teeth impossibly white under the lights. Thank you. But before we have our first dance, we have one more very special presentation. This year, the prom committee created a new award. The Kingston Honor. This goes to a student who has shown incredible spirit. He looked right at me. The spotlight hit me. My stomach dropped. but the pride on my parents' faces flashed in my mind. This is it. This is for the scholarship. This proves I fit in. This year's Kingston honor, Chad boomed, goes to Amara Campbell. The gym was quiet. It wasn't cheering. It was anticipation. A weird, sick silence. I looked at Tiffany on stage. She was clapping, nodding her head at me, mouthing, "Go. Go. It's you." So I went. I put one foot in front of the other. The yellow dress swished around my ankles. My hands were shaking. I focused on the X, taped to the floor, right in the center of the stage, just like she told me. I thought about my dad. I thought about Howard. I thought about my speech. I was just a few feet away. And then it happened. It wasn't a noise at first. It was a feeling. A cold, thick, shocking wetness. It hit my head and shoulders with a heavy splat. It was heavy. And it was red. A deep, sticky, horrifying crimson. It soaked my hair instantly, running down my face, into my eyes, stinging them. It covered the beautiful yellow dress, turning it into a grotesque, streaky mess. The gymnasium was silent. For one long second. I couldn't move. I could only smell paint. And something sweet. Corn syrup. Then the laughter. It started with Chad. A loud, barking laugh. "Welcome to Kingston, Carrie. I told you to watch the movie." The whole room exploded. Hundreds of kids. Laughing. Pointing. And every single one of them had their phone out, recording. The whispers I'd heard earlier. The stares. They were all waiting for this. They knew. I looked up, dazed. I saw the empty metal bucket, swinging slightly from a rope in the rafters. I saw Becca, standing to the side of the stage, her phone aimed right at my face, her own face pale with a kind of terrified sickness. And then, I saw Tiffany. She was standing there, in her perfect white dress, wearing her prom queen crown, just a few feet away. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't feigning shock. She was just watching me. Her expression was a calm, cold, clinical observation. She put me on that X, like a target. She knew exactly where the bucket was. Our eyes met. And in that moment, the entire last 2 years, the friendship, the help, the gray sweater, the text message, it all crashed into place. This wasn't a prank gone wrong. This wasn't just Chad being a jerk. This was her. She just held my gaze, and she gave a tiny, almost imperceptible shrug. As if to say, "Well, what did you expect?" The laughter was a physical wall of sound. I couldn't breathe. The shame, the humiliation, it was so total, so absolute, it was like being skinned alive. I felt the tears mix with the sticky paint on my cheeks. I turned and I ran. I ran off the stage. The crowd parted like I was diseased. Still laughing, still filming. I shoved my way through the gym doors, my shoes slipping in the paint. I ran down the empty hallway, the sound of my sobs echoing louder than the music. I didn't stop until I crashed through the side exit and fell onto the grass outside, gasping for air, covered in red. My entire life, my entire hope, my entire self, utterly and completely destroyed. The last thing I heard before the door slammed shut was Chad's voice on the microphone. "And now, for the winner of the Kingston Legacy Scholarship, Miss Tiffany Vance." I don't know how long I lay on that grass. It felt like hours. The sticky paint was starting to dry, cracking on my skin, matting my hair to my face. The cold night air was biting, but I was numb. The only thing I felt was the vibration of my phone in my clutch. Text after text. "My dad. Where are you, Amara? Is everything okay? Your mother is worried." How could I answer that? How could I tell them that the night that was supposed to save us had just destroyed us? I finally managed to stand. My yellow dress was ruined, stiff with paint. I walked barefoot around the side of the building to the parking lot. I must have looked like a monster from a horror movie. People leaving the prom saw me. They averted their eyes. Some of them were still snickering. My dad's old car pulled up. He and my mother had been waiting to hear the scholarship news. When my dad got out of the car, the look on his face, it wasn't anger. It was a deep, profound break. He just stared at me. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, and a sound came out of her, a wail. That was worse than the laughter. The drive home was silent. My mother sat in the back with me, trying to clean my face with a tissue in her own spit, her tears silently falling. My dad just gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. We got into our small apartment. The smell of the paint filled the room. I stood in the shower, in my dress, for an hour, just letting the hot water run, watching the red and the yellow swirl and go down the drain. But I couldn't get it off. The humiliation, it was in my skin. It was under my nails. When I finally got out, my skin was raw, but I still felt dirty. The next morning, Monday, the video was everywhere. Someone had edited it, put that psycho shower scene music over it. Jamaican Carrie, the title said. It had thousands of views. My phone was a nuclear explosion of notifications. I turned it off. Then the school called. They wanted to see me. Not Tiffany. Not Chad. Me. My parents went with me. We sat in Mr. Davies' office. He wouldn't look me in the eye. Amara, he started, steepling his fingers. We've seen the video. It's deeply unfortunate. This kind of display is not what Kingston High is about. My father stood up. Display? Are you joking? My daughter was attacked. She was assaulted in front of everyone. Mr. Davies held up a hand. Mr. Campbell, I understand you're upset. But Amara's reaction, her running out, the screaming, it was disruptive. And frankly, given the circumstances, the school board feels it's best if Amara finishes her last 2 weeks of school from home. You're suspending her, my mother whispered, horrified. It's not a suspension. It's an administrative leave, for her own protection, to let things cool down. What about the animals who did this to her? My father demanded, his voice shaking. What about Tiffany Vance and Chad? Ah, Mr. Davies said, finally looking at us. Yes, I spoke to Miss Vance. She is devastated, absolutely beside herself. She said it was a prank by some football players that got terribly out of hand. She had no idea. In fact, her father is making a very generous donation to the school's anti-bullying program in light of this. My blood, which I thought had run cold, started to boil. She's lying, I said. My voice was a croak. She told me where to stand. She planned it. Mr. Davies sighed, like I was a child. Amara. Tiffany is the valedictorian. She just won the Legacy Scholarship. She has a spotless record. You're upset. It's understandable to want to blame someone. But we have her statement. And Chad's. It was a mistake. A regrettable, childish mistake. That's all. I was being erased. They were erasing me. We went home. The administrative leave meant I was banned from the graduation ceremony. I wouldn't get to walk. 2 days later, there was a knock on our door. It was Tiffany. I opened it. She stood there, wearing a tasteful cream-colored pantsuit, her face a mask of perfect sorrow. She was holding a bouquet of lilies. Amara, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. Oh my God, can I come in? I just stared at her. My mother, who believed in politeness above all, ushered her inside. Tiffany sat on our couch, the one with the worn-out armrest. She put the flowers on the coffee table, and she cried, I can't believe he did that. Chad he's a monster. I had no idea. I swear to you, Amara. I thought the surprise was, I don't know, a song or a special mention. When I saw that bucket, I just froze. I'm so sorry. She was good. She was so good. She looked at my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Campbell. I am horrified. My father is furious. He's already spoken to Mr. Davies. He's trying to get Chad suspended. He should be arrested, my father said, but his voice had less fire. She was disarming him. I know. And the scholarship, Amara, I tried to tell them. I said you deserved it. But the committee after the incident, they said they couldn't. I even offered to give it to you, but they said it's non-transferable. She reached out and took my hand. Her skin was soft. I'm going to help you. I'm going to. I'll talk to my dad. Maybe he can. Help your father with his contract. I'll make this right. Please, say you'll forgive me. I can't lose our friendship over this stupid thing Chad did. I looked at her, at this perfect, Emmy-winning performance. And the girl from Portmore, the one who used to argue with vendors, she woke up. I didn't say anything. I just pulled my hand away. Please leave, I said. Amara. She started, the tears flowing again. Get out of my house. My voice wasn't a croak anymore. It was low. And it was cold. She looked shocked. This wasn't in her script. She stood up, her mask flickering. I was just trying to help. You've done enough. She left. My mother looked at me, confused. Amara, she was trying to apologize. She was lying, Mama. That night, my phone, which I'd finally turned back on, buzzed. A new number. A blocked ID. One text. It was her. It was all her. She was afraid you'd win the scholarship. She's been planning it for months. The paint. The bucket. The X on the stage. Even the Carrie joke. All Tiffany. She made Chad do it. She threatened to tell his dad about something. The video I took, she has it. She's keeping it. Becca. My heart stopped. Becca. The nervous one. The follower. Another text came through. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm a coward. Then the number was disconnected. The next day, 2 envelopes arrived. The first was from the Kingston Legacy Scholarship Committee. It was official. The scholarship was awarded to Tiffany Vance. My application was rejected due to, and I'll never forget the words, concerns regarding emotional stability and public conduct on becoming a Kingston representative. They used my humiliation, the event they caused, as the reason to deny me. The second envelope was for my father. It was from his company. His contract was being terminated, effective immediately. The project was being indefinitely postponed. I looked at the letterhead. The company's biggest client, listed right at the bottom, was Vance Industries. That night, our landlord knocked. He looked apologetic. Mr. Campbell, I'm afraid I can't renew your lease for next month. I've decided to sell the building. We had 30 days to get out. I looked at my parents. My father looked broken. My mother was just blank. The shock was too much. I went into my room. I was no longer just Amara the humiliated girl. I was Amara the girl who had just lost her scholarship, her future, her graduation, and her family's home, all in 1 week. The dread was a physical thing. It was suffocating. I sat on my bed, surrounded by packing boxes we didn't even have yet, and I felt nothing. Just a vast, cold emptiness. Tiffany hadn't just humiliated me. She had systematically, and with surgical precision, taken everything. The apartment was a graveyard of our life. Brown cardboard boxes were stacked against the walls, labeled kitchen, clothes, linens. But so many were just labeled miscellaneous. What do you call the broken pieces of a life you were forced to leave? The silence was the worst part. My parents had stopped talking. They'd just move around each other, ghosts in their own home. My father, a man who used to fill every room with his laugh and his big ideas, would just sit in his armchair, staring at the termination letter. My mother would pack a box, tape it, and then just cry. Silently. And the blame was a physical presence in the room. It was all aimed at me. Not with words. Not yet, but with looks. Every time my father sighed, every time my mother dropped a plate, the message was clear. This is your fault. If I hadn't been so ambitious, if I hadn't aimed so high, if I hadn't trusted the Bakra girl, if I had just stayed invisible like I was supposed to, my own dreams had ruined us. I had to know why. The scholarship, was it really just the scholarship? It felt bigger, more personal. Becca's text haunted me. It was all her. I tried texting the number back. Disconnected. I looked for her on social media. All her accounts were gone. She had vanished. I sat on my bedroom floor, my laptop open. I was supposed to be looking for cheap apartments back in Jamaica, but I couldn't. I was stuck. I kept going back to that night. Tiffany's smile. Chad's laugh. The cold, wet shock. I thought about the study sessions. Tiffany was always on my laptop. Let me fix the formatting for you, she'd say. Your settings are all weird. I'd let her. I'd been grateful. My fingers went to my email. I checked my sent folder. Nothing. Trash. Nothing. But then, I saw my cloud backup. The one that synced everything. I opened it. Just folders. School. Essays. Photos. And one I didn't recognize. It was named temp_ed. My hand was shaking. I clicked it. There were 2 files inside. The first was an audio file. Debate_practice.m4a. I clicked it. It wasn't debate practice. It was a recording. From a phone, muffled, like it was in a pocket. It was Tiffany's voice. And Chad's. Tiffany, look, is it done or not? Chad, babe, relax. My dad talked to her dad's boss. Vance Industries is their biggest client. All he has to do is hint that the Campbell contract is a problem, and poof. He's gone. They'll have him out by the end of the week. Tiffany, good. After prom, I don't want them having any reason to stick around. I want that whole tacky family gone. Wiped off the map. Chad, you got it. Now about this paint. You're sure red? It's a little on the nose, isn't it? Tiffany, it's iconic, Chad. She wants to be a star. We'll make her a star. The whole world is going to see her for what she is. Just a dirty, bloody joke. My breath hitched. My entire body went cold. This was planned. The job. The prom. All of it. One single, coordinated attack. My eyes went to the second file. A video. Becca_test.mp4. My finger hovered, then clicked. It was Becca, filming herself. She looked terrified. Her eyes were red. I have to do this, she whispered to the camera. Tiffany, she's... The camera angle shifted. She was in Tiffany's room. Tiffany was there, holding up my yellow dress. Isn't it perfect? Tiffany was saying, her voice bright. It's the exact color of a canary. A little island bird, just waiting to be caged. Becca, her voice trembling. Tiff, this is too much. This is evil. Tiffany's face went from bright to ice. She dropped the dress. Evil? No, Becca. It's necessary. She's a weed. She thinks she can just come here, with her accent, and her sob story and just take my spot. Take what's mine. I'm valedictorian. I get the scholarship. That is the order of things. But she's smart, Tiff. Maybe she deserves. Deserves? Tiffany's laugh was sharp. She deserves what she gets. And Chad, I see him looking at her. At her body. He thinks I don't see. He thinks I'm stupid. She snatched the phone from Becca, and the camera was suddenly just a blur of Tiffany's face. This is not just about a scholarship, you idiot, she hissed. This is about respect. This is about putting someone back in their place. She needs to be so completely, totally broken, that she just crawls back onto whatever boat she came here on and disappears. And you are going to help me. You're going to film it. Because if you don't, everyone's going to find out about you and the soccer coach. And I'm sure your parents would love that. Becca started to sob. Okay, Tiff. I will. I'll do it. Please. The video ended. I couldn't breathe. My lungs wouldn't work. It wasn't just a prank. It wasn't just about a scholarship. It was about me. My accent. My race. My existence. It was about Chad looking at me. She hated me. She truly, deeply hated me. And Becca, she didn't text me to save me. She texted me out of guilt because she was blackmailed into being the camera woman for my execution. I just sat there, the screen glowing in the dark room, the evidence of my entire life's destruction just sitting in a folder. The sound of the front door opening. My father. He was home from, I don't know, trying to beg for his job back. My mother walked into my room, her eyes hollow. Amara, stop playing on that thing. We need to pack. I couldn't speak. I just turned the laptop around. I clicked debate_practice.m4a. I hit play. My mother stood there. She listened. She listened to them plan her husband's firing. She listened to them call me a joke. She heard the word weed. She heard tacky family. Her face, it just crumpled. It was a physical collapse of her features. My father walked into the doorway. What is that? He asked, his voice dead. What is that noise? My mother looked at him. Then she looked at me, still sitting on the floor, holding the laptop. And she snapped. The grief and the fear and the shame, it had to go somewhere. And it all came to me. This is your fault, she shrieked, the word "your" ripping out of her throat. You and your ambition. Your need to be friends with them, to be seen. Mama, no, I whispered. Yes, she sobbed, grabbing a box of books and throwing it. If you had just if you had just been quiet. If you had just kept your head down, done your work, like we told you. But no. You had to be American. You had to trust them. You brought this curse on us, Samara. You did this to your father. My father just stood in the doorway, his face ashen. He didn't defend me. He didn't stop her. He just watched. That was the moment. That was the real devastation. It wasn't the paint. It wasn't the scholarship. It wasn't even the video. It was my own mother looking at me with hatred. Because in her broken heart, I was the one who had destroyed us. I was completely, utterly, and finally alone. After my mother's words, there was just silence. A thick, heavy, unbreathable silence that filled the apartment for the next 2 weeks. We packed boxes without speaking. My father, he just deflated. The big, proud man I grew up with was gone, replaced by this gray, hollow-eyed stranger who would sit for hours just staring at the wall. He'd leave in the morning, saying he was looking for work, but he'd come back late, smelling of cheap whiskey, his eyes even emptier. My mother stopped cooking. We ate crackers. Canned soup cold. She wouldn't look at me. She'd hand me a box to tape, her hand pulling back as if I were diseased. The words, "This is your fault," hung in the air, in every particle of dust, in every scrape of cardboard on the floor. It was my new name. The last day, the landlord came. A new family was already waiting outside in a clean SUV. A happy family. The landlord, he looked ashamed. I'm sorry, Mr. Campbell. You have to be out. We had nowhere to go. My father's search for work had yielded nothing. Who would hire a 50-year-old engineer with a terminated contract from a Vance-connected company? We couldn't afford a flight back to Jamaica. We couldn't afford a new apartment. We ended up at the Crossroads Inn, a weekly rate motel off the highway, sandwiched between a truck stop and a pawn shop. The room smelled like stale cigarettes and bleach. There were 2 beds, both with stained brown comforters, a small, buzzing fridge, a TV bolted to the wall that only got 3 channels. This was our new home. The family unit didn't just crack, it shattered. My father would leave with the car every morning and not come back until long after dark. My mother, she got a job. A friend of a friend from our old church found her one. She was a housekeeper at this very motel. I'd see her, in a drab blue uniform, pushing a heavy cart down the outdoor walkway, her head bowed. She'd come back to our room, sit on the edge of her bed, and just stare at the snow on the TV screen. She'd eat a pack of crackers, then go to sleep in her uniform. And me, I was the ghost. I was the source of the rot. I'd stay in that tiny, suffocating room, the curtains drawn. I had my laptop. I had the files. temp_ud. I watched them. Over. And over. And over. I watched Tiffany plan my humiliation. I listened to her plan my father's ruin. I saw Becca's terror. I heard Chad's laugh. I'd feel the rage build up, hot and sharp, and then it would just collapse into this black, bottomless despair. Because my mother was right. I had trusted them. I had wanted to be seen. And this was the price. I tried to fight. I'm a fighter. I emailed the files to Mr. Davies. I wrote, "Here is the proof. This is what really happened. This is Tiffany Vance." The reply came 2 days later. It wasn't from Mr. Davies. It was from a law firm. Kingston Board of Education Legal Counsel. "Ms. Campbell, we are in receipt of your materials. We have discussed this with the Vance family, who are deeply concerned for your apparent mental state following the unfortunate prom incident. They have pointed out that these recordings are clearly fabricated, likely using AI-driven software, in a malicious attempt to defame a model student. We have a signed affidavit from Miss Becca Harmon stating she was never at Miss Vance's home that day and that you have been harassing her. A cease and desist order is attached. Any further contact with the Vance family, or any attempt to disseminate this libelous content, will result in immediate legal action, both civil and criminal. We trust you will make the wise choice." A signed affidavit from Becca. She'd chosen her side. She'd chosen the soccer coach's secret over the truth. Of course she had. I just broke. That was it. That was the last light going out. I had the truth. I had the proof. And it was worthless. They had already built a wall of lies so high, my tiny, grainy truth couldn't even scratch it. They had money. They had power. They had Becca. I had a motel room and a mother who wouldn't look at me. I shut the laptop. I pushed it under the lumpy bed. For a week, I didn't leave the room. I barely ate. I just lay on that bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the vibrations from the trucks on the highway. I was hollowed out. There was no Amara left. There was no Jamaican queen. There was no Howard-bound debater. There was just this thing. This fault. I'd see Tiffany's face on Instagram. She was at a welcome to Yale party. She looked happy. She looked free. She posted a picture with Chad. My king, forever. In the comments, someone wrote, "What happened to that Jamaican girl you guys pulled that prank on?" LOL. Tiffany replied, just one word. Who? Who? She had erased me. I had let her. I lay in that dark room, my stomach aching from hunger, my heart, just a cold, dead stone in my chest. And I thought, maybe it would be better. For everyone. For my mother, who wouldn't have to see the source of her pain every day. For my father, who wouldn't have to support this burden. Maybe it would be better if I just disappeared. For real. I was a ghost in a 10 by 10 room. I hadn't spoken in 3 days. I just lay on the bed, feeling the rumble of the highway, staring at a water stain on the ceiling that looked like a scream. This was it. This was the end of the line. My mother was at work, cleaning other people's filth. My father was gone. Drinking, probably. Blaming me. My phone, plugged into the wall, buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. An international code. Jamaica. I didn't want to answer. I didn't want to talk to anyone. But it buzzed again. And again. I picked it up. Hello. My voice was a rasp. Amara? Amara Campbell? Why, you sound like Duppy. My breath hitched. My throat closed. It was my grandma. My grandmother from Portmore. The woman who raised me while my parents worked. The woman who taught me to read. The woman who I hadn't spoken to in 6 months. Grandma? Yes, it's Grandma. Your mother finally called me. She tell me you're not well. She tell me about some incident. Amara, talk to me. What dem do to you? And I just broke. The dam I had built inside me, the one holding back the black, cold ocean of despair. It didn't just crack. It exploded. I told her everything. I told her about Tiffany. The friendship, the lies, the yellow dress. I told her about the paint, the red, the laughter. I told her about the videos, Jamaican Carrie. I told her about the scholarship, my father's job, the law firm, the cease and desist. I told her about the motel. I told her about my mother's words. I sobbed into the phone, these huge, ugly, gulping sounds. It's my fault, Grandma. It's all my fault. I ruined us. Mama said I did. I want to. I couldn't say it. There was silence on the other end. Not for long, but it was a hard silence. When she spoke, her voice wasn't soft. It wasn't full of pity. It was iron. So, she said, her patois thick and sharp. Dat is it, then. A little boy and a fool white girl, dem mash up your life. And you just lay down and die. I can't. I have nothing, Grandma. Nothing. Her voice boomed, and I flinched. You have Campbell blood in you. You have my blood in you. You forget who you are. You forget you are the granddaughter of Elspeth Campbell, who sell ackee on the roadside, till she build a house with her own 2 hands, who bury 3 pickney and still stand up. You let dem backward children, dem soft children, turn you into a shadow. She was shouting now. No, me chilly. Dem na break you. Dem only show you where you crack. And now you feel de crack with iron. You hear me, Amara? Iron. You stand up. You stand up, or so help me God. I will fly dare and pull you up by de hair on your head. You are stronger than dis. You are smarter than dem. So you stop dis crying, and you fight. The line clicked. She hung up. I sat there, the phone in my hand, my body shaking. Filled de crack with iron. It wasn't a comfort. It was a command. The despair, it wasn't gone. But something new was mixing with it. A rage. A cold, hard, familiar rage. The rage I used to feel in Portmore when I'd see an injustice. The fire I thought they had extinguished. It was an ember. She's right. She's right. I wasn't the girl in the red paint. I was Amara Campbell, granddaughter of Elspeth. I got up. I went to the sink and splashed cold water on my face. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were red. My hair was a matted mess. My skin was pale. I looked defeated. No more, I whispered. I went to my bag and pulled out the laptop, the one I'd shoved under the bed, the one with the files. I opened it. I connected to the motel's terrible, slow Wi-Fi. I didn't look at the temp_AUD folder. Not yet. I went to Google. What was my weapon? My voice. My brain. The things Tiffany tried to convince me to tone down. I typed, Northeast debate competitions. The first result, the New England Open Debate Championship. It was in 3 weeks. It was open to recent high school graduates. I clicked it. I read the details. The grand prize was $10,000 and a full scholarship to St. Anselm University, the host college. A good one. The final round topic was posted. Resolved, in the modern age, social influence is a more potent currency than established power. I laughed. It was a dry, raw sound. Tiffany had used social influence, the videos, the rumors, to destroy me. Her family had used established power, the law firm, the job, to finish me. I knew this topic. I was living this topic. I clicked register. My name. My email. And then, entry fee, $200. My heart sank. $200. It might as well have been $2 million. We had nothing. My mother's tiny paycheck was barely covering the room and the crackers. I looked around the room. Desperate. There was nothing. The TV was bolted. The fridge was empty. My eyes landed on my mother's side of the bed. On the small, chipped nightstand. Her gold chain. It was the only real thing she had left. A thin, 18-karat gold chain her own mother, my grandma, had given her. She never ever took it off. But the clasp was broken, and she'd left it there, meaning to get it fixed when was a possibility. No, I couldn't. I couldn't do that. Filthy crackwood iron. It was a terrible choice. To steal from my own mother, the woman who already saw me as a curse. But what was the other choice? To lie here and die. To let them win. To prove my mother right. That I was just a failure. My hand was shaking. I'll get it back, Mama, I whispered to the empty room. I promise. I'll buy you 100 of them. I snatched the chain. It was warm. I felt like a monster. I put on my shoes. I walked out of the room, past the truck stop, to the pawn shop. The bell on the door jingled. The man behind the glass barely looked up. What? I put the chain on the counter. How much? He picked it up, bit it, put a loop to his eye. It's real. Clasp is broken. I'll give you $220. I need $250. He looked at me. He saw the desperation. $230. Final. Fine. He counted out the cash. I ran back to the room, my heart hammering with guilt and something else. Adrenaline. I sat down. I paid the $200 registration fee. The screen flashed. Confirmation. You are registered for the New England Open. I had $30 left. I clicked on the competitors list. It was alphabetical. I scrolled down. Kingston High, no. Yale University. And there it was. Vance Tiffany. Yale University freshman debate. Top seed. She was competing. She was going to be there. This wasn't just a competition anymore. This wasn't just for a scholarship. This was a reckoning. I closed all the tabs. I opened a new, blank document. I looked at the topic. Result. Social influence is a more potent currency than established power. I knew which side I was going to argue. I was going to argue the side against it. I was going to argue that established power, real power, was the only thing that mattered. And I was going to use my entire case to prove that she was going to lose. But first, I had to prepare. I took a deep breath. I went back to my cloud drive. I opened the temp_AUD folder. I opened Becco_test.mp4 and debate_practice.m4a. This time, I wasn't watching as a victim. I was watching as a debater. I was gathering my evidence. The day of the New England Open was gray and cold. I got off the bus at the edge of the street Anselm University campus. It was all old brick and ivy. I felt out of place, but the feeling didn't make me shrink. It made me angry. I wasn't the girl in the yellow dress. I wasn't the ghost in the motel room. I had $30 left from the pawn chain. 20 of it went to a thrift store. I was wearing a black pantsuit, a size too big in the shoulders, and a white blouse. I'd ironed it using the steam from the motel shower. My hair was pulled back into a severe, tight bun. My mother's broken chain was in my pocket, a cold, hard reminder. Filthy crackwood iron. I walked into the main hall. It was loud, full of privileged, confident voices. I saw her. Tiffany. She was with a group from Yale, all of them in matching navy blue blazers. She was laughing, holding a coffee, looking every bit the part of the top seed. She hadn't seen me. I didn't want her to. Not yet. I found my name on the bracket. I was the lowest seed, the wild card, the nobody. And then I saw them, in the back of the auditorium, looking lost and small. My parents. My mother was twisting her hands, her eyes searching the crowd. My father was just standing there, his old suit jacket hanging off his thin frame. Our eyes met. My mother started walking towards me. Amara, Grandma call us. She tell us you were here. She tell us she sold her goat to buy our bus tickets. My breath hitched. Grandma sold her goat. Amara! My father started, his voice thick. We heard what you said. To your grandma. About what happened. I have to go, I said, cutting him off. The guilt and the shame of that phone call, it was too much. My first round. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. The first rounds were a blur. My style, it wasn't the polished, American style Tiffany had taught me. It was the Portmore style. It was fire and logic. I didn't hide my accent, I used it. It was my blade. My opponent suggests, I'd say, my voice clipping, that D system is fair. But fair is a luxury for D man who already win D game. I tore through them. The Harvard kid, the Brown kid, the girl from Dartmouth. They'd all been trained to argue against each other. They had no idea how to argue against me. Against someone who wasn't debating theory, but survival. With every win, I felt, not happier, but harder. That iron grandma talked about, it was coating my bones. By 4 p.m., the final bracket was posted. Championship round. Vance Yale versus Campbell unattached. We were on the main stage. A big auditorium. The place was full. Judges. Competitors. Parents. Tiffany and I stood on opposite sides. When she saw me, her face, it was beautiful. The perfect, polite mask cracked. It was just a flash. Shock. Confusion. And then annoyance. Like I was a bug she thought she'd squashed. Her parents were in the front row, looking proud. Mr. Davies, the principal, was with them. My parents were in the last row. The head judge went to the podium. The topic for the final round, resolved, in the modern age, social influence is a more potent currency than established power. He looked at Tiffany. As the top seed, Miss Vance, you have a choice of side. Tiffany smiled, that bright white, cold smile. She looked right at me. I will be arguing the affirmative, Your Honor. Social influence is the more potent currency. Of course she did. She believed that. She believed her viral video had been more powerful than my grades, my future. Which means, the judge said, Miss Campbell will argue the negative. Established power is the more potent currency. I just nodded. Oh yes, I will. Tiffany went first. She was brilliant, polished, smooth, confident. She talked about viral movements, about cancel culture, about how public opinion can topple corporations and destroy reputations in an instant. Power, she said, her voice ringing with false passion, is no longer held by men in boardrooms. It's held by the masses. It's in the narrative. If the public believes you are, say, a failure, or a joke, then you are. You can be completely and utterly erased. Social influence isn't just currency. It is the new kingdom. And the new executioner. She was talking about me. She was doing it again. Humiliating me, but this time, with a podium and a blazer. She sat down to applause. I stood up. I walked to the podium. My hands were steady. I was holding my tablet, the one from the motel. I looked at the judges. I looked at Tiffany. I looked at her parents and Mr. Davies. Then I looked at the back row, at my mother and father. My opponent, I began, and my voice, my real voice, my Jamaican voice, filled the auditorium. It was loud. It didn't ask for permission. My opponent argues that social influence can erase a person. She uses hypotheticals. I will not. I looked right at Tiffany. My opponent's hypothetical has a name. Her name is Amara Campbell. That is me. A murmur went through the room. Tiffany's smile froze. My opponent is a living example of her own thesis. She did use social influence to try and destroy me. At our senior prom, she and her boyfriend dumped a bucket of red paint on me. She had it filmed. She made sure the video, Jamaican Carrie, went viral. She tried to erase me. Tiffany stood up. Objection. This is slander. It's personal. It has nothing to do with the topic. It has everything to do with the topic, Your Honor, I said, not looking away from Tiffany. Because my opponent is wrong. Her social influence, her little video, it did not destroy me. It failed. I turned back to the judges. What almost destroyed me was not social influence. It was established power, the power of a wealthy father, the power of a law firm, the power of corporate blackmail. Tiffany's face went white. Her father, in the front row, sat up. My opponent argues that social influence is potent. I argue that conspiracy is more potent. I argue that suborning perjury is more potent. I argue that getting a man fired, that is real power. This is an outrage. Mr. Vance stood up, his face red. She's insane. Am I? I said. Let us examine the evidence. Exhibit A. I pressed a button on my tablet. I'd plugged it into the audiovisual system. The room, the entire, silent auditorium, filled with Tiffany's voice. All he has to do is hint that the Campbell contract is a problem, and poof. He's gone. Chad's laugh. I want that whole tacky family gone. Wiped off the map. My father, in the back row, he let out a sound. A guttural groan. He stood up. My mother grabbed his arm. That, I said, my voice cutting through the ringing silence, is not social influence. That is established power used as a weapon. Tiffany she was gone. The mask was vaporized. She was just a terrified girl. It's fake. It's AI. Is it? I said. Then let us look at motive. Why would she do this? Just a social prank? No. Established power needs a reason. A filthy reason. Exhibit B. I hit play on the video file. Becca's terrified face, and then Tiffany's sneering. The entire room heard it. She thinks she can just come here with her accent, and her sob story, and just take what's mine. This is about putting someone back in their place. I'm sure your parents would love that. The blackmail, the racism, the hate. It was all bare. Mr. Davies, he looked like he was going to be sick. That! Tiffany was sobbing now. That is illegal. You can't record. That is illegal. I roared. The word ripped out of me. Illegal? You want to talk about illegal? Let's talk about your lawyers. Let's talk about established power covering up a crime. I projected the cease and desist letter onto the giant screen behind the stage. This is what your father's lawyers sent me. When I try to show this proof to my principal, Mr. Davies, right there, he sent them to me. All eyes went to Mr. Davies, who looked like he was shrinking into his chair. And this letter, I continued, came with this. I projected the next document. A signed, notarized affidavit from Becca Harmon, the girl in D video, swearing she was never at Tiffany's house, swearing I was harassing her. The judges they weren't judging a debate. They were witnessing a crime. My opponent, she did not use social influence. She used money. She used fear. She used blackmail. She used her family's power to fabricate legal documents, to suborn perjury, to obstruct justice. She tried to bury me, not with a like or a share, but with the full weight of her corrupt, established power. I stepped back from the podium. I was shaking. Not from fear. From release. My opponent, she's right about one thing. Someone was erased. But it was not me. I looked at the judges. My opponent didn't just lose an argument, she delivered a full, public confession. I negate D-resolution. D-truth. D-truth is the only currency. And I am done. I turned. I walked off the stage. Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. Then a sound. My father. He was standing in the aisle. And he was clapping. Slowly. His eyes were full of tears. And pride. A pride so fierce it was like the sun. My mother ran. She ran down the aisle. She climbed the steps onto the stage, and she grabbed me. She just held me, sobbing. My baby, what they do to you? My baby, you did it, you did it. The judges were standing. They weren't speaking. They were just staring. At Tiffany, who was huddled on the floor. At her father, who was now being spoken to very sternly by 2 campus security officers. The head judge finally picked up the microphone. His voice was shaking. This championship is concluded. The judges find unanimously in favor of Miss Campbell. I couldn't feel my legs. I was just holding my mother. My father's arms were around both of us, and he was rocking us, just saying my name over and over. Amara. My Amara. Me Pickney. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I failed you. No, Papa, I whispered, my face buried in his jacket, which still smelled faintly of that motel room. No, we're okay. My mother pulled back, her hands on my face. She looked fierce. The hollow, beaten look was gone. The woman from Portmore was back. You did not fail her. Dem try to break us. But Campbell, we no break. Not ever. The auditorium was chaos. The head judge was on the phone, speaking in a low, urgent voice. Yes, I have the files. I'm sending them to you right now. The affidavit, the audio. Yes, the district attorney. Immediately. Campus security was escorting Mr. Vance out. He wasn't yelling anymore. He was just gray. Deflated. All that power gone. Mr. Davies was sitting in his chair, just staring. A woman from the university administration was standing over him, her arms crossed, her face like stone. His career was over. I knew it. And Tiffany, she was still on the floor. Her perfect Yale blazer was rumpled. She was just rocking, sobbing. It's not fair, she was mumbling. It was mine, it was all mine. She looked up, and she saw me. She saw me standing there, whole, with my family. Her eyes, they weren't cold anymore. They weren't full of hate. They were just empty. She had built her entire world on being Tiffany Vance, the winner. And in 10 minutes, I had shown her and everyone that she was nothing. Just a mean, scared girl. She had tried to erase me. But in the end, she had erased herself. The judges handed my father a giant, ridiculous-looking check for $10,000. They handed me the scholarship certificate, a full 4-year ride. The head judge, a kind-looking woman, took my hand. Miss Campbell, she said, her voice full of emotion. That was the bravest act I have ever seen. You are going to be a phenomenal lawyer. A lawyer? I hadn't even thought about that. I smiled. Thank you. The news, it was instantaneous. Yale debate star exposed in blackmail, racism scandal. Kingston principal implicated in cover-up. Vance Industries stock plummets. It turned out, social influence was powerful, just not in the way Tiffany thought. The videos, my videos, went everywhere. But this time, I owned them. We didn't stay in the motel that night. We stayed in the hotel on campus. My father, he held that check all night. We talked. For the first time, we really talked. My parents told me about the shame, the fear. I told them about the loneliness, the despair. My mother held my hand. When I said those things to you, Amara, it was because I saw myself. I was weak. I was so scared. And you were strong. And I hated you for it. Can you ever forgive me? There is nothing to forgive, Mama, I said. And I meant it. The fallout was total. Tiffany was expelled from Yale. The Kingston Legacy Scholarship was retroactively awarded to me, though I respectfully declined it. I had my own. The Vance family was, well, they were buried in lawsuits. My father got a call from his old company. They offered him his job back, with a promotion, and significant back pay. He told them, very politely, to get lost. Becca, her affidavit, combined with the video, led to a perjury investigation. Her parents pulled her out of school. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Chad, he was suspended from the football team. His own king status gone. Mr. Davies was fired in a very public, very humiliating school board meeting. And us. The first thing I did, I wired the money to the pawn shop. I bought my mother's chain back, and I had the clasp fixed. I put it around her neck. This, I said, is our iron. With the rest of the $10,000 and my father's eventual settlement, we went home. Not to Connecticut. We went home, to Portmore. We bought my grandma a new house. A real house, with a big yard full of mango trees, and about 20 goats. I'm writing this from my dorm room at St. Anselm. It's nice. It's quiet. My roommate is a girl from Boston who thinks my accent is cool. I'm majoring in pre-law. My finger is no longer hovering over an upload button. I don't need to hide or plan revenge in the dark. I did it in the light, in front of everyone. Grandma was right. They didn't break me. They just showed me where the cracks were. And those cracks, they're my favorite part of me now. They're filled with iron. They're filled with my own voice. I am Amara Campbell. I'm the granddaughter of Elspeth. And I am strong. The past, it's not a ghost that haunts me. It's a foundation. I'm at peace. And I'm excited for what's next. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it was a lot, but I'm glad I could share it with you all. I hope it helps someone. If you're still here with me, please hit that like button. It means more than you know. Subscribe if you haven't, because I have a feeling this is just the beginning. And I'd love to know what part of my grandma's advice hit you the hardest. Or what do you think I should do on my first day of law school? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading them. Not all stories of justice are this loud. Sometimes the quietest wins are the most complete. I'll have to tell you that story next time. Be well. And stand up. Always.